Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it's actually time for us to have a bit of a long-awaited discussion. This is something that I probably should have talked about when Genshin 6.2 actually dropped, and I'm going to be real over here. I've taken a look at all of the complaints when it comes to this update. I've taken a look at all of the shortcomings from the devs over at Hoyoverse, and I'm going to be real over here. The rumors of Genshin's demise have not been exaggerated. These developers somehow find, some way, every single version update, they find some way to push the envelope on how they can make the game worse, on how they can introduce more FOMO, on how they can introduce more pay to win, because there's a lot, ladies and gentlemen. It wasn't enough to have FOMO in the game, right? By introducing brand new exploration mechanics that only the new characters have built into their kits. It wasn't enough to introduce FOMO by making it so that your goddamn fucking quality of life is on a time limit, where they release domains for only like 2 weeks after a character's banner drops and lets you actually, I don't know, farm them when you actually want them to. It wasn't enough to experiment introducing FOMO in that way, ladies and gentlemen. They've also introduced FOMO and daily logins for the fucking story. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, what you're seeing on my screen over here is the rewards, the bonus rewards for completing Durin's quest during 6.2. You need 5 whole calendar days for it, and these are the rewards: 60 primo gems and then a bunch of ascension materials. 5 whole days, and for rewards like that. And this is the thing, ladies and gentlemen. We're barely scraping the surface over here when it comes to how these developers have fucked up this update. Because it's not just the story that's FOMO locked. They've also introduced brand new pay-to-win mechanics. Guys, it wasn't enough. And let me just show you all something real fast, because this is going to be super relevant. So, we talked a lot about the FOMO that's in the game. Now we need to take a moment over here to talk about pay-to-win mechanics, where the developers have decided in game modes like the Spiral Abyss that you're seeing on the screen over here, or 9 times. Let me just make myself extra big. In game modes like the goddamn Spiral Abyss, you need to own Nod Cry characters to be able to clear the game mode. That's the requirement now for the game's endgame. Own the newest units in both Stygian Onslaught and the Spiral Abyss. They've already introduced pay to win into the game in extraordinary fashion, right? They've also introduced more pay to win to just experience the fucking story. Yes, those story locked character buff quests. Guys, you can't even experience them unless you own the character and the character is also at level 70. Guys, if there was a way to continually fuck up every single good thing that you add to the game, these character buffs, the story for Durin, all of that, the fact that they found a way to fuck it up is an accomplishment of its own. So I've only given you a bit of a preview of some of the issues at hand. This is just the preamble. Let's go ahead and get on into how this situation is actually impacting players. So the main real issue over here, right, is the fact that this quest literally is requiring players to expend 5 whole days of their life to dedicate to scheduling around this fucking thing. You can see at the top over here, it's literally a, like, real-world time-locked quest, where after you complete a chapter, you're gonna have to wait an extraordinary amount of time to undertake the next one. I don't even understand, at a baseline, why a company would need to do something like this in a game like a gacha game that already prompts you to log in every fucking day because you already have the monthly pass and the dailies. You have the fucking monthly pass and the daily system. Why do you need another method to have players logging in every single day? I don't even understand, like, what additional need there was when there was already 2 fucking systems. Do you need a third to keep daily logins going? You probably shouldn't, but this is what these guys are doing. And I have to assume that this is what is going on. Hoyoverse is having an extraordinary number of players who are probably just playing the story day one of this patch and then dropping the game for the rest of the version. Because they know the game is dog shit and they're really only there for the story. And so, Hoyoverse has decided that those individuals, that wasn't the right way to enjoy Genshin Impact. They instead now want at least 5 days of committed playtime, and they're gonna separate out the story to force those players into 5 whole days. And guess what, right? Hey, I guess to Hoyo, it's worth losing potential players who might quit the game because of this, but I'm gonna be honest. If you were only logging in to do the story and then you were dipping for the rest of the patch, you're probably gonna stay because all you're interested in this game anymore is the fucking story. And they've decided to take that and monetize it, ladies and gentlemen. They decided to take your preference for how to enjoy the story, and they have decided to take it into their own hands. What an amazing developer. Describing to you how to enjoy their game and preventing you from enjoying it in any other ways. And you all know what the funniest thing is about this, guys? There's no justification at all that any Hoyoverse player can make. There is no justification that even the Genshin Impact community can make for how absolutely fucking ridiculous a requirement like this is. It's a time gate they've never done before. People who are like stressing about doing all the events on the last day of the patch, they're like, holy shit, I can't do this anymore. To be able to unlock all these rewards, you gotta make sure you start this quest chain at least 5 days before the patch ends. Otherwise, you will not get any of these because you won't be able to complete it in the time limit. It's just all these extra hoops to jump through, which makes it feel like Hoyoverse and their players, they're at like a circus. And Hoyo DeWay is like the ringleader, and he's just having all of these goddamn players perform like fucking circus monkeys. What even is this? You are literally getting abused, and nobody can rationalize why this shit is happening. It makes you log in every day. The point of time gating is to build habit. And even the players know they already have resins and dailies. They already know that. And so, even the counter-argument is already existing in this subreddit. And like I said before, the counter-argument to that counter-argument, like I just said, there's a lot of people that just log in for the story. And so Hoyo decided those are the players that they're going to target. It's not enough that you play this game and do the story. You've got to do it for at least 5 days. Absolutely absurd. Absolutely absurd. And the one thing that I'm actually glad to see is that a striking majority of the player base, I haven't seen a single person support or justify this decision in this subreddit, which is probably a great thing. There are a lot of things that Hoyo shills will desperately defend when Genshin Impact adds it to the game. I'm just glad that this is something that seems to be unilaterally agreed upon is a complete piece of shit. And you can see over here, there's even more individuals just giving like the warnings, talking about the stuff. People, even again, the most devoted Hoyo shills with Farina fucking profile pictures and reaction images. One of the reasons video games are fun is because you have control. You can play the game how you want to play it. Not when you're playing a Hoyoverse game, bucko. Not when you're playing a Hoyo game, dumbass. You probably would have been able to tell. I'm surprised that this is coming from a Genshin Impact player's lips, especially after knowing that this is how the company institutes quality of life, by adding fucking FOMO to it. And don't worry, they did it for your story too. The story now has FOMO. I didn't even know that was supposed to be possible, but this is an appropriate reaction image to the devs. Now, there's another hoop to jump through as well. Apparently, Genius Invocation TCG is another thing that will be a barrier for you trying to complete the fucking Durin quest as well. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, these developers have decided to force the TCG into the normal gameplay loop. And the funniest thing is that this is like a non-cry quest that's getting interrupted by the introduction quest for the TCG. This means that this is a player that has intentionally avoided the game mode, has intentionally not started it, has tried to push it to the side for 6 years. For 6 fucking years, they try to push it to the side, and now it's forcing its way into completion. Because of course, if the developers are going to be the ones that are going to tell you force you to play the story quest over 5 days, are you surprised that they're gonna force you to play their shitty fucking TCG to advance the story as well? This is honestly just fucking hilarious. And you wanna know what my favorite part is? Focused mode, which is what you're supposed to use to be able to just, you know, do the quest. It doesn't even work. It doesn't even fucking work for this. You have to do the TCG quest. You have to play this story. Bro, how do they do this? How do these devs do this? I don't understand. Like I said before, like I said at the start of the video, guys, they are continually experimenting, brainstorming, pushing out new technology, new ways, all in this one singular purpose of fucking you as a player. Hoyo's R&D department, honestly, I don't even think they really like work on graphics or anything because all the games look the fucking same. I think all they do is like R&D on how to make the most predatory mechanics ever and then put them in their fucking games. This is insane. But it doesn't end here, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't actually end here. After completing 6.2's Archon quests, the reputation system for non-Cry, Selenic Chronicles, is blocked for the rest of the version. And this is where you basically go ahead and you build up your reputation system to get things like wings and do all these quests and all the other rewards. Guys, they don't even tell you that this shit is happening. And after you complete the quest, you remove access to the fucking reputation system of the region. This is the third update of the region. And like after doing the main quest, you break the And I'm actually hearing it's not even after the quest, it's after you launch the game. So I guess some people are saying that like you don't even have to do the quest to be locked out from the feature. So, yeah, I don't really know which one it is because I didn't play the fucking update. But the fact that you are blocked off from the reputation system in this version in any fucking way is just absolutely absurd. So yeah, you can clearly see over here, we haven't even revisited the locked character buffs yet. We're actually exploring more of the issues that were just in the story itself. So as you can see, this version is a complete fucking disaster. Now, that might be a tough pill to swallow for some CCs that are saying, right, the game's in the best state it's ever been. But don't worry, this best state only gets worse. Because we already talked about this topic before, right? The fact that after introducing pay-to-win mechanics in all of the endgame, they're now introducing pay-to-win mechanics in the story. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, there are now exclusive stories that you will not have access to, that you will not be able to experience yourself in-game. Your only method of experiencing them will be on YouTube, on somebody else's VOD, unless you own the character. Yep, you have to own the character if you want to play the fucking story. Imagine that you were somebody that wasn't a meta person, so you didn't care about the buffs, but you're a lore nerd, so you love the story. Congratulations. Because you don't own the unit, you don't get to enjoy the story. This is a testing ground. They're probably going to use this as an opportunity to see how the community feels about gacha-locked story content. And guess what? The player base is going to bend over, take it, like they've always taken it, when it comes to dog shit predatory decisions made by Hoyoverse, and then Hoyo is going to implement it in future iterations. Yep. Yes, sirree. Because they did it before with Natlan and Night Soul, and then they repeated it with Ascendant Gleam. Region-specific mechanics that are required to defeat enemies. They repeated it in non-Cry. Games more predatory than ever before. They're now locking story behind the gacha. They're going to do it again. You know they're going to do it again. Imagine you just don't even get to do the 7.0 Archon quest unless you, like, have Saritsa. Yeah, you just don't gain access to the Archon quest unless you have Saritsa. Basically, you gotta buy Saritsa or you don't get access to Genshin 7.0. They should just do it at this point. They should just do that. And the best part is, guys, you unlock the ability for these character buffs like in the fucking prologue of the game. You get like this little witch's book from the fucking, all you need to do is the prologue act 3, Song of the Dragon and Freedom. So you get it super early on, you unlock this capability super early on. But yes, the character also needs to be level 70, so it's FOMO for new players, and you gotta own the character too. So yeah, it's FOMO from a leveling angle for new players. It's like FOMO as well, because you gotta own the unit. It's insane how they managed to implement these character buffs in literally the worst fucking way possible. And this is like not even talking about the fact that these character buffs don't work unless you only pair them with other Hexarai units. Yeah, I forgot. We didn't even dive into that. We're just talking about the method of getting the fucking buffs, and it's all dog shit. But don't worry, there's more. The response from the community over here is clearly also openly against the method that Hoyo's decided to do. A whopping 8.1 fucking K upvotes saying that these stories should be available to everyone. Man, it looks like the community might be waking up, but I feel like I've said this a bunch of times before, and then the game just keeps getting worse every single fucking time, right after I say the community might be waking up. But I'm just gonna be honest. Yep, people have begun to recognize it. YouTube, it is. And apparently, and this is the funny part, Albedo's quest, the one that's exclusively locked, right, that you need to own him for, it also gives an exclusive quest item for you, like, fucking nerds that care about that shit. So, yeah, I don't personally give a fuck about that, but to those that do, congratulations. You now have another thing locked behind the gacha. The lore is now locked behind the gacha. Imagine if nobody actually had Albedo, and the only way that those lore nerds could find out that information was to pay money. Just think about that for a second. Critical lore information that you cannot obtain unless you have donated money to Hoyoverse. Gacha-locked lore. Guys, I'm telling you, these developers have truly cracked the code for how to fuck their players in every single way possible. And I genuinely think that Hoyoverse is going to be studied in the future for all of the incredible accomplishments they've made in, like, the devil's teachings. Because what the hell even is this update? How is this the update that immediately follows Milliastra Wonderland? And how were we giving creators like Glaive Keo so much shit for talking about how problematic these character buffs, these quests, all of this shit was potentially going to be? Because I've said this before, and maybe people will start remembering now. Whenever Hoyo promises to add something good to the game, you have to assume that it's not actually going to be good and that they're going to fuck it up somehow. Because they have fucked it up somehow every single time. They have fucked it up somehow. And so the baseline default assumption whenever they announce a new feature is that they're going to mess it up. And the idea is everything Hoyo does will literally be bad because it is. And then you're just happy to be proven wrong. And when you have that mindset, you're not going to be disappointed in the actions that this company makes anymore. You're simply just going to be expecting it. And that's a lot better than thinking these developers will listen after the 30th consecutive time that they haven't. At some point, it's just delusion on your end to expect anything done properly because they fuck it up every single time. And the number of fuck-ups that you can literally see, this is locked, like, you got unskippable, like, this is just insane. It doesn't make any, like, holy shit. Holy shit. And apparently, Nod Cry characters lock Nod Cry side quest related to those characters too. Oh, okay, so this was just a continuation of what they did in Nod Cry. So they were already locking off the lore and locking off story behind playable units. And so this is, oh, so what I said before is just true. Hoyo beta tests a Giga Predatory feature, and then when nobody complains about it and it seems to be fine, they'll push it up to 11. They did it for Ascendant Gleam and then Night Soul. And they're doing it for the Hexarai stories and then also the Nod Cry character stories. Imagine, guys. Now the story is paid. I used to say this, guys. I said Genshin is only a free-to-play game if you want to play the story. If you want to play the end game, it's a pay-to-play game. Now, I can comfortably say Genshin is a completely pay-to-play game. You can't even experience the story in this game without paying. The story is getting monetized as well. And do keep in mind, there are CCs that are saying 6.2 Genshin is the best state the game has ever been. Well, it's the best state for Dwayne's bank account. That's all I can say for sure. God damn, brother. Like I said before, and I'll say in the future, every single time, these guys are pioneers. Pioneers on how to screw their players. Let me know what you all thought. Peace out. That's